Hi guys, I thought I would just do a very quick video today. It's not the ideal time to do a video because I know that a lot of the people who do watch my videos are probably asleep right now, but I've got a few minutes free. And I guess I thought I would talk about the developments over the last few days around this new video that we've seen come out on X and on YouTube, which is a video showing a car entering the Weber's private drive and leaving within 30 seconds, I believe. I've had a look at the video and I think it's interesting, definitely. I mean, you can see a car certainly going in and coming out very quickly. And if the timestamp is correct on that video, then absolutely that's meaningful. I guess the problem is, I wonder if it's actually going to help though, because we know that there is plenty of evidence to suggest that there are other potential people involved in this case, and yet it seems to have made not much difference thus far in helping in terms of solving the crime, and certainly in terms of helping with exculpatory getting Richard Allen the justice that he deserves, which is helping exonerate him. And so the video, yes, like I said, it's interesting, and I think it corroborates theories that people entered the crime scene from different points. Hey, Carol, how are you? I'm just talking about the new video that is being spoken about with the white car that enters the Weber's private drive and leaves again around 2:07. And I think it is interesting for sure. I think probably a lot of us who have thought about alternate theories of what happened that day think that there would be people who maybe entered the crime scene or entered the trails from other locations. I'm not even sure if anyone entered from the CPS side, but even if there is evidence to support that Bridge Guy did enter on that side at around the 1:30-ish mark, I do believe there was more than one person involved, and it's highly likely that whoever else was involved entered at different locations, and that the people responsible left obviously through a way that wasn't on the main trails, given how many people were on the trails between 2:30 and 4 and beyond. So as much as that video, like I said, it's interesting, and I think certainly food for thought, I still worry that it's not really going to help Rick too much. The problem is it doesn't prove 100% that Rick is not involved. And as most of you know, if you watch any of my videos, I do not believe that Rick is involved, but I believe there's a lot of better evidence and better arguments to make in terms of helping to exonerate Rick Allen and helping to make sure that, he doesn't spend the rest of his life in jail. So I think the video is more interesting from a perspective of trying to understand what did actually happen, but I think most of us would already have guessed that the perpetrators most likely entered at different points and at different times during that day. So I kind of see it as quite similar to the old style car that was seen around the CPS area. Another one of those things where I'm sure that there was an old style car around that area. It was seen by Brad Heath, and Betsy Blair's description of the car matches with that as well. And we know that neither of those descriptions match the other descriptions, which talk about an SUV crossover style car. So I do believe there was an old vehicle there. I've always thought that that is somebody scoping everything out. It's a wonderful location for somebody who wants to see who's entering the trails. You can see people entering from the CPS lot. You can see people driving past to the Mears entrance, and you can watch and see people walking across the Freedom Bridge. So to me, that was a lookout person, potentially someone who dropped Bridge Guy off as well. But so I kind of think we already know that there's a few suspicious vehicles around on the day, none of which are Richard Allen's vehicle. But I still worry that people who think Richard Allen's guilty will just change their tack to, well, he didn't act alone. And I know that McClelland at some point, and maybe even law enforcement, have said that they had thought that there was more than one person involved. And so, I think that all that will happen is that people will say, well, Rick is still involved. But he was involved with other people. I don't think that people who think Rick Allen is guilty are going to change their mind easily, unless they can dig up the truly exculpatory evidence for Rick, which I do believe exists. We know he was cleared in 2017 and was not followed up again for 5.5 years. So the fact that he was cleared, to me, highly suggests that they did find information that supported his innocence back in 2017. I still believe that that's to do with the phone records. I hope that there's still the capacity for them to find those phone records, and that it's not too late. But yeah, I think the worry here in this case is that there may never be true justice for Abby and Libby because of all of the, and I say quote unquote, lost information early in the investigation, the tendency to turn a blind eye towards things that don't fit with what the main law enforcement officers want to believe. There's been a lot of stuff that's just been ignored in the early stages, maybe deliberately, maybe accidentally. But yeah, Carol, it just doesn't make sense, does it really? I think that there was, I'm going to speculate here, but I think that there were active attempts to block an investigation into probably the people who I believe are the true perpetrators of this crime. And because of that, hi, Harlan. Nice to meet you. Hi, Mateo. Yeah, I think because of how things were handled. Hello. Hi, Boogerman. Thank you. Yeah, because of the way that the investigation was so poorly handled, and I don't know whether it's poorly handled or deliberately poorly handled. I don't know that we're ever going to find out who the true perpetrator is. And going back to that video, I suppose one of the issues is that video, yes, it shows that somebody entered the area around the time of the crime, and it's highly likely that that person probably was involved or dropped off someone who was involved. But again, how are we going to identify that vehicle? It's an even worse video footage than the Hoosier Harvest store where, we cannot see the number plates, and I don't believe that there'd be any ability to enhance that in order to figure out whose car that is. So proving who it is going to prove impossible. I know some people theorize that the girls were taken somewhere, that they were picked up from the scene. But again, that car, the timing is 2:07. It comes and goes quite quickly. I guess it seems more consistent with someone being dropped off there. You said no with and are, so I'm guessing Australian. I am Australian. Yeah, well, I live in Australia. Yes, I do. So yeah, I think it's more consistent with someone being dropped off as opposed to them picking up the girls. It's 2:07. We never know with timestamps in this case. Everything seems to be a little bit all over the place. So who knows? But, the timestamp on the Bridge Guy video is later than 2:07. It's 2:13, I think. And so, yeah, I think it's more likely that that's dropping off somebody who's going to be involved, whether it is Bridge Guy or somebody supporting Bridge Guy in this heinous act. But, yeah, so like I said, my concern with this is that it's not evidence that's going to convince those who have already made up their mind about Richard Allen. It's not evidence that's going to necessarily help us to figure out who the true perpetrator is. But yes, it certainly lines up with some of the theories that a lot of us would have around what really happened that day. I've got some theories. I've got a particular theory that I've had for probably the last several months around what I think happened that day, but it is really just pulling together bits of information, and it is pure speculation. I can't prove it, but it's a narrative that kind of, I think, fits with what data we see. Yeah, I will do a video on that quite soon, because I know that in the poll that I put in my community, people wanted to talk about alternate theories. So happy to kind of go through what my potential narrative is for what happened to Abby and Libby that day and see what other people think. I'd be really curious to hear. I don't purport to be an expert at all about all of the third-party suspects. I've read bits and pieces, but the bits that I put together seem to be more consistent with the Franks memo and some of the names mentioned there. So EF, BH, PW, JM. So for those of you that know the case, those would be some of the people who I would speculate could be involved, and I think that there's motive and there's a narrative that makes sense, that's not completely kind of bizarre or absurd, that could go with that as being, yeah, the potential culprits or perpetrators of this crime, and then kind of speculating further as to why law enforcement would not want those people brought to justice. And again, I can sort of hypothesize and come up with potential theories here. It's all, as I said, pure speculation. I'm not here to accuse anybody of committing a crime. I'm mainly here to suggest that, to argue quite strongly that I don't believe Richard Allen is responsible. And the reason for that is based on not just the flawed evidence that I think we can all pull apart quite easily, but based on the psychology of Richard Allen and a psychological perspective of everything that's gone on in this investigation. And yeah, throughout the past, however many years it's been now, 8 years. So, yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to pop on and talk about today. I just saw lots of buzzing around about the video, and I thought I'd like to address it, and it's a good segue into talking about theories of the case. So, yeah, watch this space. This week at some point I will do a live relating to theories on the case. I'm going to try and set up StreamYard, so like Diana, I can invite other people to come and have a chat. So if anyone is interested in having a chat with me and talking it out, I'd love that. I love collaborating. So yeah, definitely going to open up the live to doing that so that we can kind of discuss it together. Anyone who wants to do that, even if you don't want to put your face on the screen, if you just want to have an avatar and have a chat, it's a safe space to do it. As most of you will know, even if you disagree with me, I'm not here to argue and to be disrespectful. So I'm happy to speak to people who believe Richard Allen is guilty. I'm happy to speak to people who have different theories to me. I am quite rigid, I suppose, in my belief around Richard Allen's innocence. But again, if you want to try and prove me wrong, I'm happy to have a chat about things respectfully. Anyway, I'll leave it at that for today. Let me know your thoughts if anyone has other thoughts about that video, and am I missing the point? If I am, please let me know. Have a great rest of the weekend and a great start to the week. Bye. Bye, Carol. Have a lovely end of your weekend. And, cameo here from Mr. Spook. Say hi, Spook. All right. Take care, guys. Yeah, you guys are in USA. So, yeah, I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're right at the tail end of Sunday now. So, it's back into the grind for me. Monday's one of my big clinic days. So, got lots of therapy to do tomorrow. But I will absolutely check in again. I might try and do a video at a time that I think some of the American people might be available and awake. It's just hard with our time zones. But yeah, anyway, bye guys. Thanks for watching again, Carol. Really, really kind of you to pop by. And hi, Andy. Lovely to see you and to meet you. Please pop by again. Bye.